I just messed with the settings on the camera. Never done that before, by the way, so if it looks different, I'm sorry. I can't really tell what I did. I know nothing about cameras. Anyway, hold on. I haven't taken a sip of my matcha yet. Hello, welcome back to Bookmas. Welcome to my 2026 TBR. I was doing this yesterday. I actually made a little presentation for myself. I don't know why I did it that way, but over here on Canva, I thought that was fun. And I realized that after I put all the books onto this list, I actually have 26 books. So here are 26 books that I want to read in 2026. Sorry if the angle changed. I just messed with the settings one more time before we started and I fixed my hair, so I'm kind of a mess right now, but I'm gonna start with new releases. I think there's more new releases than not, and the books that are not new releases are just books that are on my radar. I think I only have a couple from my physical TBR that we'll be talking about because I don't want to be too repetitive. You guys know already that I want to read these books. So these are just books that I've seen or have been on my radar for quite a bit, and some new releases that I've seen that I would like to read next year. And again, not too many from here because I've already talked about these. You guys know I want to read these. So here's some that maybe I haven't talked about. Majority I haven't talked about yet. One more thing though is usually when I go into books, I like to go into it completely blind. Like maybe I'll have a synopsis, but I don't like to know other people's opinions or really even just like thoughts. I want to go into it with like a fresh mind. I don't want to know too much about the plot. So I personally don't know too much about the plots of a lot of these books, but I'm going to give a brief summary of what I do know and why I want to read it, obviously. So let's start with new releases because there's more of those and I think that's more fun. I'm going to go in order of when they come out throughout the year. So we're going to obviously start with January, which one of my favorite mystery thriller authors, she came out with a book last January as well, and I read it last January, so I'm very excited for her new release this January. And also one of her books, His and Hers, is coming to Netflix, I believe also in January or February, early on in the year, which I am so incredibly excited about. But that is Alice Feeney, and her new book is called My Husband's Wife. I don't really read too many mystery thrillers, so she's just been my favorite since I found the first book I read by her, which was Rock, Paper, Scissors, and now I just read like every single one of her releases. I've read all of her books, all of her discography. Is it discography for an author? No, her backlist. That is music. But yeah, I read all of her books up until this point, and the new book I am so excited about. I actually got to see her in person. I went to one of her signings for her last release, and just hearing her talk about the process of her writing her books and everything, it was just so nice to hear. So now I'm just really excited for all of her new releases. But this one's exciting because it's about this woman who goes off on a run, and when she comes back to her house, her key doesn't fit in the door. A stranger opens a door that looks kind of like her, and her husband comes to the door and is like, "This stranger is my wife. Like, who are you?" So now obviously someone's lying. There's now two women claiming to be his wife, so things are very, very mysterious, obviously, and I'm very excited about this. She always gets me with her plot twist, so this one is high on my radar for January. I'm definitely gonna read it when it comes out, and I'm so excited about it. Then we have a book that I found when I was looking through new releases for next year, and this one is called The Future Saints by Ashley Winstead. This is actually the author of In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, which I haven't read that, but I know that's a really big like fan favorite of like the dark academia mystery novel. So this one is actually a fiction type of novel about a band, and I just love reading about that. It's said it's kind of similar in vibes to Daisy Jones and the Six, so if that interests you, maybe put this one onto your mental TBR. There's this band called the Future Saints, and their manager recently passed away, so now it's hard for them to kind of be more up and coming. They're kind of like falling down a bad path. And it says Theo is immediately struck by Hannah, the group's impetuous lead singer, who's gone off script by debuting a whole new sound, replacing their California pop with gut-wrenching rock. And when this new music goes viral, striking an unexpected chord with fans, Theo puts his career on the line to give the Saints one last shot at success with a new tour, new record, and new start. But Hannah's going through a lot of emotions. She's handling grief right now, and I think she also gets entangled with Theo in some way. So I think this book is going to be a bit emotional, a lot of emotions in it, but also I just love reading about bands, the up and comingness of it, and I think it's going to be a bit messy, which I also love. I don't know when the story takes place. It doesn't say if it's like a different time period, so I'm assuming it'll just be like right now time period, but yeah, I'm very excited about it. It says it's a novel about sisterhood, friendship, and the ghosts that haunt us. It's a mesmerizing look at grief, love, and the music industry that's so raw and emotional you want to play it on repeat. The summary just really got me, so this one's definitely high on my radar. It comes out January 20th. Then moving on to February, one of my favorite interconnected hockey series, the Vancouver Storms. A new book is coming out, which last year I read the newest release and I thought it was the last one, but it's not. I don't know if this one is either, but I'm really excited about it. It's just such a fast-paced hockey romance. The found family in it is really good. The second one is my favorite, The Fake Out, but this one's called The Wild Card. It's by Stephanie Archer. This one's about our female character who works at a bar, and it's the bar that all like the hockey players go to, but I think it's her father that owns the team and he's selling the team, so now she has to work with the coach of the team to kind of like fix what's going on. And he's also a single father, so it's single father trope, and I'm pretty sure she ends up moving into his guest house. I don't know how that happens, but she ends up moving over there, and I guess she just kind of gets a bit more connected with him because it says that he trusts Jordan with his daughter and fires the person who made her cry. He's her boss, and a relationship would ruin both their careers, years, but Jordan still finds herself dreaming of a life with Tate. It kind of is giving off like golden retriever energy, golden retriever dad from the summary. I don't remember these characters, but all of these are based on characters we've seen from the series. It's one of those series that I read, kind of forget about, but in the moment it's just so fun and it's so good. I don't really remember them too much, but I'm excited to get back into it and see the previous characters that I love into this one. Again, I don't know if it's the last one in the series, but she can keep writing in it and I'll keep reading as many as she wants to come out with. Then I actually have this book on my physical TBR. I got the arc of it, which I'm so excited about. This one comes out February 12th, and that is Throne of Nightmares by Carrie Maniscalco. The arc of this is really, really cool. It has like a big quote on the back and then really cool graphic on the front. It says, "Beware of waking the gods. Their dreams are often our nightmares." I forgot what the series is called, but it stems off the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy, and then you're following the 7 deadly sins, which is like the 7 princes of hell in like the spin-off series, which is the brother of the first guy from the original trilogy. And it is so good. It's like a dark adult fantasy series, and I just really, really enjoyed them. It's definitely romantasy, but something about like the dark part of it like really gets me. Like I love following the 7 sins, and this one I think is going to be my favorite. I've said that about a previous one, but I think this one is because we're following Prince Sloth, and just seeing him in the other books, like he lives in this house that is just like a big library basically. There's books everywhere. Obviously he's Sloth. He's like the slow prince, and just the fact that he just has so many books around, I just feel like we connect in that way because obviously like we align there. It says that he's thrust into a race against time and he must find the Book of Nightmares, an ancient artifact that has the power to break worlds before it unleashes a deadly game to free its master, the Goddess of Night. And it says the female main character is a librarian, and she gets thrust into like this book with Prince Sloth, and they have to like find the book, and I don't know, it just sounds really, really good, and I'm so excited about it. I don't think I'm gonna get to it before the year ends, but it's high on my radar for the beginning of 2026. But again, it comes out in February, which is pretty soon, honestly. And the next book is also part of an interconnected series. I don't know if this is gonna be the last one or there's gonna be more of them, but I'm very excited about this one because it's called And Now Back to You by B.K. Borison. It's the one that comes after First Time Caller, which I read earlier this year. It wasn't my favorite book, but I remember very vividly the male main character of this new book that's coming out, and I really enjoyed him. He was like very funny, very witty, and very like golden retriever energy, which is one of my favorite like personality traits of a male main character. So I'm just so excited about this, and the cover is beautiful, stunning, perfect. I'm just obsessed with it, and it's definitely more wintry, so when it comes out I definitely want to read it and have it like a seasonal read because he's a meteorologist, and I'm pretty sure they're both about to like take on a big like snowstorm that's coming. Not like take on the snowstorm outside, but like covering it because they're meteorologists. I don't know why I made it seem like they're about to like go out into the snowstorm, which maybe they do, but like that's not what I got from the summary. It says if he can help her ace this assignment, she'll help him rediscover his long-lost fun side, and with an undiscovered chemistry burning beneath their clashes, the unlikely partnership quickly tumbles into an easy and surprising friendship. I remember them too from the first book. You saw like a few scenes of them, and they just like don't get along at all, and I'm really excited about this and this dynamic. Again, I didn't love the first one, but I really liked the writing style, and I liked seeing these characters, so I'm excited to get their story, and hopefully I like this one more, but it's just the cover is so cute, the story sounds really, really good, and yeah. Okay, moving on to March, we have a few books that are coming out the same day, which is March 3rd, and the first one is Cara Bastone's new book, and it's called No Matter What. I am gonna say this about every book obviously, but so excited about this. I read 2 of her books this year, and Promise Me Sunshine was just so wonderful. Also Ready or Not was as well. I love her writing style. It's like a mix between kind of like women's fiction and romance because what the characters are going through feels so real, and the way she writes it is just so beautiful. I love her writing style. I'm so glad I read her books this year. But this one's interesting because it's about a couple that's already like established and then trying to figure out and like fix their relationship, which I always think is more unique than seeing a couple and like the starts of their relationship, and seeing this one more like in the depths of it and trying to like figure out what's going on. This is about a couple who went through a traumatic event, and the effects of that are kind of like ruining their friendship, and I'm pretty sure the husband is the one that's like signing a new lease and like moving out of where they live. So she ends up signing for an art class, and she meets someone there, and I'm pretty sure they go down a bit of a rabbit hole, and I'm just interested in this because I feel like the dynamics are going to be really good and definitely more interesting, and I'm excited because I love her writing style. It just feels so realistic, and the way she depicts things that people go through, like the emotions, she just writes it so beautifully. Then we have, again, the same date, but we have Liz Tom Ford's new book. I am not kidding when I tell you this might be one of my like most anticipated reads for 2026. This book is part of Wendy's series, but not like the original series. It's like a spin-off from one of the characters from the original series. But this one, I remember vividly reading Caught Up, which is the 4th book? 3rd book? 3rd or 4th book. I think it's the 3rd one. It's a baseball romance, and we meet the character that's going to be in this new book, and as soon as we meet him, the way he's described and acting, and I'm just like, if we don't get a Monty book, like I'm gonna riot. Like we need a Monty book, and I said that I think in my like Goodreads review or something like that, and I remember when this book got like announced, it was the best day ever. I am so excited about this. If you don't know, the Windy City series is an interconnected sports series, and some of them are just my favorite sports romances ever. Play Along is top tier. So we're following our female main character who's the first team owner in the MLB, which is huge because obviously she's a woman in a male dominated field and she's struggling with that because people aren't really taking her seriously. And then we have our male main character who's actually the father of a character from Caught Up, and he used to be a huge baseball player. Now he's like a coach of some sort and he doesn't want to have a new boss. So they don't get along. You see them kind of bickering in one of the other books, and their dynamic already seems so good. So obviously I'm assuming they're gonna be spending a lot of time together, and I'm just so excited about it. I'm excited to be back in the world, see the old characters, see these two, and see their romance, and I couldn't be more excited. Liz Tom Ford's writing, it's just so good. Like, she does banter like incredible, and as soon as this one comes out, I'm either downloading it right onto my Kindle or gonna be the first person at Barnes to get this one. And then we have Bestie Haley's book that comes out the same day as the previous two. If you didn't know, Bestie Haley wrote a book and she is publishing it in 2026, which is huge and incredible. So this one is actually a second chance romance. We're following two characters that grew up together. They were best friends. I'm assuming something happened between them and then they see each other again. It's also told in dual timelines, which is one of my favorites in a second chance romance. That's one of my favorite tropes, of course, as well. So huge congrats to Haley, and her book comes out in 2026, which is very, very exciting. Another one in March, we have How to Write a Love Story by Catherine Walsh. As soon as I finished Holiday Romance by her earlier this month, I went on to Goodreads, I saw this was coming out, and I clicked want to read like immediately because her writing is so good. It is so witty and so funny. Like, the humor is just like, I guess it's just my humor. I don't know. It was just so good. So I'm so excited about this. This book takes place in Ireland. Our female main character is sent to this house. Her father sends her there to finish out the book in her like fantasy series. And when she's there, an editor shows up to her door. She's expecting it to be this old man, but it's this really cute guy from America. And it says that they have 2 weeks of the hottest Irish summer on record to write this novel together and secure Frank's legacy. But will their own love story be the plot twist neither of them see coming? I'm literally so excited about this. I'll probably read it in the summertime because it says the hottest Irish summer. Say that 3 times fast. Hottest Irish, you can't. Anyway, I cannot wait for this book to come out. I need to read more of her writings. I know she has a few other books as well, and I just really fell in love with her humor in the book. So really excited about this one. I cannot wait for this to come out, and the cover is also really, really cute. Okay, moving on to April, we have a fantasy book that is called The Book Witch by Meg Schaefer. This is the same author as, what is it called? The Wishing Game, which is a really cute, cozy fantasy. I really enjoyed that one, so I'm so excited about this. And the summary of this is kind of giving what I wish a novel love story by Ashley Poston gave, because she's going into a book, and just like the magical realism of that is just so unique and just seems so wonderful, because as book readers and lovers, like, I wish I can go into a book. Wouldn't that be so fun? So our female main character is actually a witch, obviously, because it says book witch in the title, so you would assume that, but she like jumps into books and out of books. Like, that is like what she does, which is just, that's sick. It says that the witches live by strict real people, belong in real world, so fictional characters belong in works of fiction. You can't eat, drink, or sleep inside a fictional world lest you become part of the story, and falling in love with the fictional character, don't even think about it. That's why Rainie's been forbidden from seeing the Duke of Chicago, the dashing British detective who stars in her favorite mystery series. If she's ever caught up with him again, she'll be expelled from her book coven and forced to give up the magical gifts that are as much part of her as her own name. But when her beloved grandfather disappears and a priceless book is stolen, there's only one person she trusts to help her solve the case: the Duke. I'm so excited. It says she goes into other books like The Great Gatsby, Alice in Wonderland, like a bunch of other classics, and I'm just like, that sounds amazing. That sounds incredible. I'm so excited about this, and knowing her writing style from the book that I read from her, it's so whimsical and it was so cute and it was so cozy. This is definitely on my radar for when it comes out, and I can't wait for it. Then we have, are we in May? No. Okay, we're moving on to May now. We have Carly Fortune's new book, Our Perfect Storm. If you guys didn't know, One Golden Summer was a 5-star read for me this year, which was crazy and so totally unexpected. So now I am very much anticipating her next release. One thing that Carly Fortune writes about is second chance, which is one of my favorite tropes, and this one is a second chance romance, which I'm so excited about. We're following these two characters that have been best friends since they were children, and it's now her wedding day, and they're kind of on a rocky friendship now. She doesn't even know if he's gonna show up as her best man, but something happens and she ends up not getting married. But he tries to help her out and says, let's go on your honeymoon together. So we can only imagine where that goes. The forced proximity is probably going to be amazing, and it's kind of giving me not funny story feelings, but the way funny story kind of starts, it's kind of giving that energy, because they're supposed to get married and then something happens and now it's a whole new thing. But that's what strangers, this is what best friend, which could be even better, because with the history that they have, I feel like that should play into what's going on with them, and I'm really excited about it. She has some great like settings, and they're perfect for the summertime. She really transports you into like the summer wherever she's writing about. So I don't want to keep saying I'm really excited about it, but I am really excited about it, and I'm hoping for good things, because her last book, like I said, was a 5-star. And then also in May, I'm literally gnawing at the bars of my enclosure for this book to be in my hands, because Brooke Averick is coming out with a book. Her debut novel. I have been a huge fan of Brooke and Connor Make a Podcast and just Brooke in general for so long now, and just seeing her journey like on the podcast from like starting to just like write and then talk about it more and more and then announce she was coming out with a book, like I was just so excited. I'm a huge fan and I cannot wait for this. She is just so funny, so I feel like her humor is going to play a big part into this book, and I can't wait. It says that Phoebe Berman, which that name is just so cute, it says she fears the one thing she wants the most, which is love, and thanks to an extremely unfortunate first kiss attempt, crippling intimacy anxiety has plagued her since she was a teen. She can't help but beat herself up over the one thing she can't quite seem to figure out, and she's determined to change this. She drafts up the ultimate guide to losing my virginity checklist with the hope of finally getting laid. I seriously cannot wait for this book. I cannot wait to see her writing in a book and just seeing her talk about it for so long and actually like finally have the book in my hands. It's gonna be amazing. The cover is absolutely adorable. It is so cute, and yeah, May 26th cannot come soon enough because I need to read this book. All right, we're moving on to June, and I know I said a few books earlier in this video were my most anticipated of the year, but that was a lie, because this book is my #1 most anticipated of 2026, and that is Sarah DeMoff's new novel, The Burning Side. I literally, if you guys didn't know, The Bright Years was beautiful, stunning, incredible. It was a debut novel, and her writing just like wove its way into my heart a little bit, and just knowing that she's coming out with a new book next year, I cannot wait. And it comes out 2 days after my birthday, so this is going to be a birthday present to myself. I'm going to be the first person at Barnes buying that book and sitting and reading it that day. Like, that is my plan, so no one talk to me on June 16th. She wrote an incredible story in The Bright Years, and one of the main themes was like just family and the interwoven feelings in that and the dynamics, and it was just so good. So I'm so excited about this one because it's also about a family who's going through a lot. I'm pretty sure in the beginning their house burns like in the middle of the night, so they have to flee back to, I think, the mom's or the wife's like hometown, and they move in with her family, something like that. But they're kind of dealing with so much, obviously, so much emotion and things that they've lost, and I'm pretty sure that kind of like sparks things going on in the marriage, and I think it's kind of like a rocky thing going on. I think I just said thing like 10 times. But anyway, it says it's a family saga suffused with humor, longing, and heartbreak. The Burning Side is about what we inherit and what we choose, about forgiveness and the ache of being known. It is above all about the meaning of home and the costs of long love. That alone, I'm hooked and I'm ready. Her writing is so stunning and so beautiful and so heartbreaking. If you have not read The Bright Years, please read it. And also put this onto your list for 2026. We can all read this one together. Okay, this next one is literally a long time coming. I'm not even kidding. I'm so excited about this one because if you don't know, Six of Crows is one of my favorite duologies ever. It's a YA fantasy heist situation, and I remember reading it in like 2021, maybe 2022 time, and it just like became one of my favorite duologies, and I always talk about it like still to this day. I'm currently rereading the first one for the 3rd time, which if that doesn't tell you how much I love it, I don't know what will. But we're getting another story in the world, and it's a short story. I think it's called Six of Crows, A Darker Shore. It says that 2 investigators meet to uncover the truth behind the latest disaster, a massacre on an island off the shores of Ketterdam. Among the evidence collected in private correspondence between notorious crime boss Kaz Brecker and an anonymous sailor aboard the Wraith known only as I. We're getting Kaz Brecker. Like, that's literally all I need to hear. I'm pretty sure this is all just, like, it says letters from Ketterdam, so I think it's all letters. I'm just so excited about this, just to be in the world again with a fresh new story. I don't care if it's 100 pages or less. I love the series. I love being in that world. It's just so good. The heist of the story and, like, the mastermind of Kaz Brecker, I cannot wait to hear from him again. So, if you read Six of Crows, you liked Six of Crows, and you didn't know about this, now you know, and I hope you're just excited as I am. And if you haven't read Six of Crows, highly recommend, because then we can all read this one together as well. We're moving on to July now. I don't have a synopsis for this one, but the last release in the Heartstopper series is coming out, and I'm probably gonna cry over it. If you didn't know, I read Heartstopper, which is a graphic novel series last year. Maybe it was 2 years ago now. No, it was definitely last year. I can't remember because we're at the end of the year, so it feels like so much longer ago. But like I said, it's a graphic novel series. We're following Nick and Charlie and just like their feelings and growing relationship and how they feel like personally and with their friends and what their friends are going through. Like, it's just a wonderful coming of age story, and it is so good. The show is also phenomenal. The last one's coming out, like I said, and I just can't wait to just see not only how it ends, but just to see them again, like a fresh book. I'm pretty sure we're also getting another, is it a movie? Something like that is coming out as well, which I seriously cannot wait for. It is phenomenal. It is beautiful. It is wonderful. It's just so good. And it's graphic novels, so you can read probably all of them in one sitting, but they go so quick, and I can't wait for this. I seriously cannot wait. So those are all the new releases that are on my radar personally. I know there's probably so many more that we could be talking about right now, and if you have any that you're excited about, please let us know in the comments so I can add some more to my list as well. But now we're gonna get into my TBR that's not new releases, just books that are out there. Like I said, there's only a couple on my physical TBR we'll be talking about. I feel like I'm talking really, really quick. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna slow down. We've got some here that have been on my radar for a pretty long time that I would like to get to in the new year, and a couple on my TBR that are more like higher up on the list. Obviously, I would like to read all of these, but we'll see how that goes. The first one is from an author that I recently read and really, really enjoyed. It's Virginia Evans, and she wrote The Correspondent, which you guys will see me reading tomorrow? Very, very soon. I feel like it's happening tomorrow, but you guys will see me read it really, really soon. So I wanted to see if she had any other books that were out, and she actually has this one. It's called Within the Walled City. It actually came out like 10 years ago, I think, so it's been out for a while, and I had no idea until I read this book and looked at the other books that she's written. Obviously. I don't know why I just explained that to you. But anyway, following a young girl whose mother passed away. She's 16 years old, and I'm pretty sure she's studying abroad. Yeah, she leaves for a semester in Siena, Italy to complete her master's in art history, and she comes upon a journal from her mom. And this journal follows her mom when she also lived in Siena, and it says that her months in Siena are marked by eccentric people, stunning scenery, and a trove of exquisite art, and most of all, the enthralling and painful discovery of a mother she never knew and a world of secrets she can't unlearn. The shadows of the past, the memories of an artist will either crush or unfold her within the walled city. This just sounds so good and has that like letters aspect that I really, really love from The Correspondent, so I can't wait to read this. I'll probably try to pick it up in the summertime. I feel like that just kind of makes sense, like the Italy setting of it. The cover's also really, really cute. But yeah, this is also on my radar because you guys will see how I feel about The Correspondent, but I can't wait for this one. Then we have a fantasy trilogy that I actually wanted to read this year. It was on my 25 books to read in 2025, but I never got to it. I also wanted to read a few other books from this author before I read this series because I know it's a very emotional one, but it's called The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang, and it's high on my radar to read, hopefully the first one at least, earlier in the year. I've just seen so many people's reactions to this, and I've just seen it's just heartbreaking and emotional and intense, but I'm excited for it, and I really want to get into it. I don't know anything about the summary. I don't think I'm going to read the summary too much. I'm just going to kind of go into it, which I don't know if that's a bad idea or not. It's always funny when you see someone else talking about a book that you've read, that you know what happens and is emotional, like kind of when someone reads Beartown for the first time, and like I know what you're getting into and you don't know what you're getting into. Like if anyone's watching this and has read the Poppy War trilogy, you're probably like laughing at me because I'm saying it's emotional, but like you really know how emotional it is. I've been wanting to read this one for a long time. I read Yellowface and Babel by this author, and I have Catabasis on my TBR as well, so I'd like to read that at some point, but the Poppy War trilogy is like higher on my TBR. I would really like to get to this, and like I said in a previous video, this bookmas, I want to read some fantasies that are more, not like high fantasy, but like less romantasy, more just like fantasy. But I feel like this one is a good one to get into. I've heard the most incredible things about it as well. Then we have a book that I don't remember stumbling upon. I don't remember adding this to my want to read list, but I was scrolling through that on my Fable app and I saw it, and I literally just don't remember putting it on there, but I read the summary again and I was like, this sounds so interesting. And it's called Forgotten on Sunday by Valerie Perrin. This one's actually a translated fiction. I think it's originally French, maybe? I'm not too sure, but the summary sounds really, really good, so I'm adding it back to my radar. This is about Justine. She lives with her grandparents. Her parents died and she works at a retirement home, and she bonds with an almost 100-year-old resident, and they start telling each other their stories, which I just think is so interesting, especially just like in real life, hearing an elderly person's stories of like their whole entire life, what they've gone through, and that's kind of what she's doing. They're sharing stories with each other. And then it says, one day trouble arrives in the form of a mysterious phone call that shakes the retirement home to its core and uncovers a shocking revelation. At once humorous and melancholic, Valerie Perrin's debut novel is a story of how the past can shape our present and the scars of undeclared love. It sounds amazing. I've been trying to branch out and read some different books and books I haven't heard of, and I stumbled back upon this one and it just sounds so good. So that one's also on my radar for next year. Then we have a book called All the Colors of the Dark. This one was actually recommended by bestie Miriam in our book club. Shout out Miriam, and I'm excited about this one because she said if you liked it, The God of the Woods, which I enjoyed, but there was something missing from it that didn't make it a 5-star for me. I think it was a 4-star. She said if you liked that and that type of mystery, like read this. It is so much more like intense. It says it's a missing person mystery, a serial killer thriller, a love story, and it says he's written a novel about what lurks in the shadows of obsession and in the blinding light of hope, which just sounds so interesting. Not only is it like the time period that it's in, but also all the genres that are mixed in here, like the mystery, the romance, the twists and everything. I'm very excited about it, and I've heard phenomenal things. It's high on my radar. I think I'm going to read it earlier on in the year, but we'll see about that. But yeah, this one I keep thinking about, and I wanted to read it at the end of this year, but I don't think that's happening, so it's now back on my radar for the beginning of next year. Then we have another fantasy. This is actually a standalone fantasy that I've heard the most incredible things about. I also heard that it's very emotional and brutal, and there's a lot that goes into it, but I'm so excited for that reason because I like to feel a lot when I'm reading, and I really like sad emotional books, but this one is a fantasy, and it's called The Sword of Kaigan by M.L. Wang. I don't really want to read too much of the summary, but just the beginning of it says a mother struggling to repress her violent past, a son struggling to grasp his violent future, a father to blind the danger that threatens them all. That is literally all I'm gonna read about it. I've seen some people on Goodreads read it and like their reactions to it. I know the ratings are really, really high, and like I said, it's a standalone fantasy, which is hard to come by nowadays, so I can't wait to read this. I'll probably read this also earlier on in the year. I think it's on Kindle Unlimited. If I'm not mistaken, I actually have it on my Kindle. I remember downloading it at one point and then not reading it, so I'm gonna read it next year. That's all I have about it. I'm very excited. If you've read it, let me know if you liked it and you think I would like it, because I've been thinking about it for a really long time, so I'm adding it to my 2026 TBR because it's not gonna happen this year. I haven't really read the summary, so I can't give more than that, but just know it's on my radar for next year. I'm definitely gonna read it and I'm excited about it. This next one I've had on my want to read list on Fable as well for a really, really long time. I don't remember where I saw it. It might have been one of those where I finish a book and then Fable gives you more recommendations, and then I read the summary of this one and I added it to the list. It's kind of how I find some of these books. Fable kind of just recommends them, and the ones that I haven't heard of, I like to read their summaries because I'm like, maybe I'll be interested in it. And then I've been seeing it a lot on like TikTok, and a few people have recommended it to me, and I'm like, okay, maybe I should move it up on my TBR list because I've been seeing it a lot more recently, so now it's like on my mind again. And it's called Please Don't Go by E. Salvador. This is part of a series, I believe. I think this is the first one. I think the cover is also really, really cool. I don't know the summary. I could read some of it for us, but someone said that the main male character reminds them of Isaiah Rhodes. And you know how I feel about Isaiah Rhodes, so I have to read this book. It says Josephine is struggling to figure out her life between her complicated relationship with grief and not having a single clue how to feel what she can't understand. She's sinking and isn't sure how to float back up to the surface. Daniel, shortstop, a budding ray of sunshine and potential first-round pick for the MLB draft, has life figured out. On the surface, he's the embodiment of happiness and life, but beneath it all, guilt and grief have been consuming him since his brother passed away. Unsure how to deal with his feelings, he bottles them up and masks the pain of haunting reminders behind a mask of smiles. That's until he stumbles upon Josephine on Christmas Day. Oh my god, Christmas? I might have to read this early on in the year as well, like right after Christmas, because I want to have like that seasonal feel. I'm not gonna read any more of the summary, but just from getting like that like small synopsis, I understand why people say he reminds them of Isaiah Rhodes. And if he's anything like Isaiah Rhodes, like this could be a 5-star for me. I love Isaiah Rhodes. It's a sports romance. I don't know what like series it's a part of, if it's like interconnected in that way, but it says it's the Midnight Strike series, so this is on my radar. It's gonna be probably read early on in the year, and I cannot wait for it. And then we have a new release that came out this year. I think it was a more recent release. It's called Daddy Issues by Kate Goldbeck. I'm pretty sure it's the same author as the book that has the fall cover. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? That one's a book that you either love or hate, and I didn't love or hate it actually. I was like kind of in the middle. I enjoyed it. I really liked the writing style. I think it was just the story that fell flat for me. It's definitely character driven, and I love a character driven story, especially when you actually care about the characters. It's just so interesting, and I enjoyed it for that aspect, but I thought it was a really interesting type of romance fiction read. It's actually an age gap romance, which is not my favorite, but I think if it's done right, it could be interesting to read about. It says at 26, Sam expected to be thriving in her academic career, living on her own in some exciting city. Expectations meet reality. She has massive student loans from studying art history, a dead-end service industry job, a situationship that's equal parts intoxicating and toxic, and she's been crashing in her mom's condo, at least it's not a basement, for the last 5 years. Her mom's new neighbor, Nick, is the ultimate grown-up. His adult life began the moment his 9-year-old daughter, Kira, was born. Her happiness is Nick's only priority, especially in the wake of divorce. I'm not gonna read any more, but all I know, single father trope, they live next to each other, it's age gap, and I really like the cover of this one too. And I feel like it's gonna be an interesting read because I don't really read many age gap books, if really ever, so this is on my radar and I would like to read it next year. Then we have Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I want to read more V.E. Schwab books. I feel like I don't read enough of them. I've only ever read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue and Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. This one, I don't know if it's a duology or if there's more in it. I know off the top of my head the first two, at least, that I know what they look like. I also don't really know what it's about. I think it's a fantasy book. I think we're following 2 characters, but I have the summary here. I guess I could read. It's a bit long, but I'm just gonna read a bit of it just so that we can get a bit of a synopsis in here. This is Victor and Eli start out as college roommates, brilliant, arrogant, lonely boys who recognize the same sharpness and ambition in each other. In their senior year, a shared research interest in adrenaline, near-death experiences, and seemingly supernatural events reveals an intriguing possibility that under the right conditions, someone could develop extraordinary abilities, but when their thesis moves from the academic to the experimental, things go horribly wrong. 10 years later, Victor breaks out of prison, determined to catch up to his old friend, now foe, aided by a young girl whose reserved nature obscures a stunning ability. Meanwhile, Eli's on a mission to eradicate every other superpowered person that he can find. Wait, this sounds so cool. Superpowers? Sidekick? It says V.E. Schwab brings to life a gritty comic book style world in vivid prose, a world where gaining superpowers doesn't automatically lead to heroism, and a time when allegiances are called into question. That sounds so good. I have never read the summary of this one. I just know I want to read more V.E. Schwab books, and this was the first one that I went to, so I cannot wait for this now. Again, I don't know if it's like a big series or not, but yeah, this one's high on my radar now. I can't wait for it. It sounds so good. Then we have a book that I have in my physical TBR. This is Writers and Lovers by Lily King. I actually bought it earlier this year. I was gonna read it during my Boston trip, and then I didn't, and then I haven't touched it since, but I've heard phenomenal things about this author. This one is just a contemporary literary type of fiction. I'm pretty sure we're just following her in Massachusetts. It takes place in 1997. It says it's got humor, heart, intelligence. It's a transfixing novel that explores a terrifying and exhilarating leap between the end of one phase of life and the beginning of another, which I think I'm really gonna enjoy, because one thing that I don't love is change. I love having my routine and everything like that, so I always love to read about things that are very realistic and I can relate to, and when an author can put some stuff into words that are just like very relatable and it makes more sense in my head, I feel like I really enjoy it more and I can connect more. So I'm so excited about this. I can't believe I haven't read it yet. I've been wanting to, but I don't pick it up and I don't know why. So I would love to read it next year, because I also want to read her newest release, but I heard there's kind of like a nod to Writers and Lovers in her newest release and I want to understand it. So I'm going to read this one first and then I'm going to pick up her new one. Another one on my physical TBR is Blue Sisters by Coco Mellors. I put this on one of my TBR videos more recently and so many people were hoping that I was going to pick it, and I didn't realize how many people loved this book. I don't really see many people talking about it, but after seeing how many people love it and want me to read it, I really would love to read it next year as well. I think we're just following, like the title says, some sisters. Like, I don't really know. I don't really want to read the summary of this one. I know it's a contemporary fiction novel and I feel like it's gonna have a lot of like family elements that I really like in books. I think one of the sisters ends up dying and they come back home and they have to struggle with not only this grief but like seeing each other again. They're all going through different things, but I'm excited. I feel like it's gonna be an interesting dynamic and they're all obviously going through not only personal things, but now there's like huge thing that happened to the family and just like the grief that they're all going through and they have to navigate that. So I can't wait for this one. I'm definitely gonna read it next year. It's high on my list and I have it on my physical TBR. So there's no excuses here. Another one on my physical TBR is none other than Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. I'm not even gonna read the summary, not only because I don't know what it's about, but because I don't care what it's about. I will love anything Kristen Hanna writes. I've read, I think, 4 of her books now. Has it been 4 maybe? But I have enjoyed every single one of them, and what's so interesting about her writing is some of the books I've come out of them enjoying them, giving them 4 stars, but there are ones that have not left my brain. Like, I continue to think about them and think about the story and the characters and the impact that it's had on me, even if it wasn't a 5-star. And then in my head, I'm like, wait, but maybe it is a 5-star because I can't stop thinking about it. She writes the most incredible historical fiction stories because not only is she telling a story in the perspective of these people during this time period, but the emotion that she puts into it, you can't not feel like you're there with the character. And she writes about such strong, incredible women in these stories, especially during time periods where they're just like going through so many different things. And I love her writing. It is so simple, but it's so hard hitting. And I don't know why I haven't read this one yet either. So this is the next Kristen Hanna that's on my radar. I don't know what I'm gonna do after this one, but I literally have no idea what it's about. I don't know what time period it's in, but I feel like I'm gonna love it anyway. That is the last book I have for my 2026 TBR. Here's 26 books that if maybe you haven't heard of or you're now excited about, you can add it to your TBR. We'll have some fun reads together next year and I can't wait. I feel like my TBR is already stacked for 2026 and I feel like I'm gonna have a really good reading year because I think this year I've really like narrowed down what I like in books and like picking out books that I think I'm really going to enjoy. I did the research, I did the work this year to know what I like in books that now in next year, I think it's gonna be the best reading year yet. Like I'm very excited about it. I'm very hopeful. I hope you guys maybe found a new book to add to your TBR. If you have any that I haven't talked about that are either new releases or on your TBR for next year, please let us know. There's plenty more to be added to our TBR. There'll definitely be some reading vlogs next year with some of these books in them. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're enjoying Bookmas. I can't believe it's almost over. That is absolutely insane. I hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you tomorrow for our next day in Bookmas.